Okay, so that brings us to session number 91, or season 1, episode 2 of phase 3. So, online tonight we have, I'll start with Jeremy.
Yes, good evening all. I'm playing Dimitros, the Tralvaran sage and wise man. Some would call him a wizard, and obviously it's
you won't. That's not
I mean, well, obviously, some would also call him a hero, and I think that obviously he's a humble and
none of those things.
Like an unassuming young man, merely willing to assist those around him by spreading knowledge and understanding and providing guidance wherever it's needed.
Then we have Martin.
Yes, I'm an elf on the monastic path of the Kenzai, and so a wood elf, and I don't go in for any grandiose stuff. I'm just there, an ever-present wizard.
So you're a wizard too, Parry?
No.
Well, at least you got one wizard in the party.
Well, hopefully, yeah, Mark is going to be the tank, whereas it was me last time.
Oh, okay.
Which then brings us to Mark.
I'm playing Bradshaw Dugan, dwarf warrior extraordinaire. Doesn't overdo it like a certain Dimitri wizard who has no idea what he's talking about.
But also someone who can't hang on to a hammer to save himself.
Look, that's over 60 sessions ago. I think we've gone over that one now. But anyway.
Well, to be honest, it is closer to 70 sessions.
Oh, 70 sessions. Okay. And that hammer didn't mean anything to me anymore. It's all good. It's done. Gone. Yes, I will kill that orc eventually when I get the hammer back, but
you have got the hammer back. Unless, of course, you forgot about that. You may have mislost it again.
I might have lost it again then. Anyway, who cares? I've got another hammer. So, a certain whistle seems to go the same old story over and over again, like a dead kind of musical instrument that you can usually record stuff on, which is non-existent in this world. But yeah, so I'm kind of the party tank and also love drinking dwarf. So.
Who's married and has a bunch of halfling assassins happy to make people's lives unhappy.
Yes, you're very close to that list at the moment, Dimitri. Very close.
Well, Dimitri should be on everybody's list. That's the first person to call on when they need someone to help.
Yes.
And then that brings us to Dominic.
Hello everyone, I'm a human paladin named Imperative. Short for imperative, because I'm Imperative. He doesn't have a last name at the moment because I'm still kind of workshopping that in my own mind. He sort of feels constantly driven to complete whatever might be the next quest, or sort of proving ability to prove himself to his gods of the sort of Norse pantheon. He is predominantly a sort of fairly defensive fellow who has strong abilities to heal as well. So he's not the most offensive paladin, but he can be if needs be. It's mostly about protecting the people around him. And he's currently in the possession of a fancy new crystal sword that is sort of trying to understand what it's about. Whether it truly is something that is sort of being blessed with, or whether there's a bit more to it than that, and he's generally trying to avoid too much contact with kobolds at the moment as well.
I'm sure kobolds are only painted badly. Okay, so with the storyline, last session kicked off Phase 3 for this group, meaning that they've entered into the Great War, as it's called. They got to see what the Master's forces were like firsthand, and how he has been making mythical things happen during the warfare. They saw a Titan rise and be struck down by the Master, as well as managing to bloody the Master's nose themselves. Unless someone else would like to give a bigger recap on that.
Obviously, kind of covered the important parts. We were battling on the lake while the other forces for Darrican and races were defending the north and south flanks of the lake. And
didn't we beat the shit out of the Tarask?
well, a Tarask rose, as in a Titan, from the water that would appear to be a lake. The Tarask attacked the barrier that had been holding back, amongst other things, holding back forces or stopping living forces across into the Master's territory, including the mountaintop that he placed down on top of a city on the western side of the lake, and so the Tarask managed to do that, opened up a gateway or a hole in the defences, so that therefore we could cause further damage to the Master's forces, including significant damage to the world tree that the Master apparently managed to work out some way of carrying around. But then the Master was the one that managed to beat back the Tarask in the form of some giant dragon type image, and blasted the Tarask back to 3/4 of the way across the lake, and causing significant water high tides around the lake, which of course had gone down quite a bit when the island disappeared. But yes, we didn't actually do much to the Tarask, and in fact when the Tarask attacked the Master, we were basically providing sideline support, so take advantage of the gap that the Tarask had made.
And so
then got worried when the Tarask got beaten back, apparently in a single blast.
Well, the Tarask in the rules actually comes very much out like Godzilla. Even has its Godzilla breath. So they got to witness just how devastating that creature is up close. Luckily for them, it wasn't attacking them. So it has been 2.5 months since the war started, and you finally catch up with Bradshaw and Parity, who managed to miss the boats all the time and never actually went out to sea with you.
I'm sure Parity was a bit concerned about going out onto the ocean or the lakes wearing heavy armour.
Not to mention the Tarask.
Well, we didn't know that at the time.
Correct. People be so, Bradshaw says.
But there is an island in the centre of the lake that no one seems to be able to return from. Appears to be the resting place of the Tarask. So, it is the night of the green moon, full moon, and two of you have been given awards from the Chancellor of Darrican to represent your work out on the lake with the halflings. So whenever you dress up in any form of robes, Trellin and Dimitri can proudly wear their emblems from the Great War.
Woohoo!
So you've both gotten a campaign 20, campaign 1010 for the lake, which is in blue.
Right. What does that mean?
So that is a bragging rights award that your character has. That
It's basically a campaign medal.
Nice.
So, yeah. And obviously coming in slightly different formats depending upon which part of the campaign you fought in. So,
yes, Jeremy got to see what happened with the Tuesday group because they also got one.
Right.
But it wasn't. It didn't have the blue background because we were the Tuesday group didn't fight on the lake. So they were part of the southern defences.
Okay, so you've been asked by Rheddrian to catch up with him and find out what it is you guys have been doing after a night of heavy drinking. For those of you who do drink.
Well, I mean, obviously, Dimitri being the subtle, humble man, he would have just spent the time, opportunity to catch up on all the research and things like that he hasn't been able to do for the last few months.
Well, I'll spend it training up my expert followers.
Bradshaw would be wasted on it, most likely. Yeah.
Even though he didn't get an award.
I won't deny that because I'll be.
Yes, I can.
I'll end up in the stables as well.
Let's face it,
Yeah.
Bradshaw's been wasted for the last 2 months. That's why he never got on the boat.
I had half-an assassin stuff to do. Okay, I'm a busy person.
I like the idea of training up my guys. I'm thinking that's probably something that I do as well. And though I hadn't previous, actually, I think my guy is a drinker. That seems like the sort of thing a Norseman would do. That's pretty important in Valhalla. Yeah.
There may be some warnings about drinking with Bradshaw, but I'll leave it up to the party to decide on that one.
I mean, like I don't think that Peritiv would consider himself a drinker. By comparison to the rest of his comrades, he only goes 2 barrels at a time.
He can walk home so he doesn't drink like the rest of his fellows.
Or end up in the stables asleep the next morning, yes. Yeah. Which is a common Bradshaw thing.
Yeah, but that's got nothing to do with that he drinks.
Oh, no, it's only drinks, because he keeps going, brother, where are you? Where are you?
You've left your brother long behind.
I know, but when I'm drunk, I don't remember these sort of things.
So you do have a new mount, remember?
I do, and the other one just gives me a kick in the ass every time.
No, it just sits on you whenever you come to it drunk.
Yeah, that's true.
So you wake up nice and warm.
That was very comfortable.
Until you realise that it's a puddle of water you're sitting in. At least you think it's water.
Am I still hungover right now? If I'm still hungover, the little finger comes out and unfortunately has to taste it.
Yes, it is rather salty and has this back taste.
That's all I need to know.
And also, the fact that the important thing here is that it's not so much that you're still hungover, it's that you're not yet hungover.
It's true. I've turned up, I've gone drinking, and I think I've done pretty well so far.
Okay, so you find yourself having a nice meal with Rheddrian and catching up with the award-winning members of your group who actually went out and fought.
Can I have a new staff?
You can. You have been given a new staff.
No worries.
He says, be a bit more careful with this one.
Okay.
What happened to the last
It just crumbled.
The last one was the reason that when it was destroyed when it was used to effectively burn down or at least burn out somewhat the world tree that the Master V came around. So
Well, okay.
Yeah.
it did die in good
It
cause.
served a purpose, yes.
Possibly not entirely the cause that you wanted to use for, but it certainly died in a good cause. Or a fair good cause.
Okay, so he looks at the four of you and says, "Is there anything you need to catch him up on about your time in the war?"
I'm feeling much better after my cold, or whatever flu-like scenario kept me out of the fight.
He did think that paladins were more resilient to disease, but hey, I guess it happens.
I've got immunity to disease. What are you going on about?
Well, okay. Dimitri will give a succinct summary of the events of the 2 months of the war. So we start at breakfast time and we'll probably finish up around
I'll just walk out on that.
Surprisingly, Bradshaw listens the whole time. You're very surprised by that.
Is he listening, or has he just had one of those, strokes where he just doesn't move?
No. You see it. You see a different demeanour in Bradshaw. It's his more responsibility situation. He seems like he's actually caring now.
So no. It's a different demeanour because he looks more intelligent. He's put on glasses and he's painted eyes on them, so he stays away.
Hey, no. But no, Bradshaw's actually listening because he realised his alarm clock didn't go off at the right time, and that's why he missed the baton. So.
It went off 2 months late.
Pretty much, yeah. I also had some wife problems, so I just sorted that out. So.
Yeah, she went and fought while you stayed home and cleaned.
Yeah. It said, if you don't clean, I'm going to kill you. And it's like, okay, I know you can kill me, so...
Yeah, because she was on the boat with us.
Oh, really?
Yep.
No, I'm going to have words. No, I'm not going to have words.
She'll more than happy have words with you. She always gets in the last point.
I know.
Point being is operative term.
Definitely.
Hey, it's not like she hasn't used sleeping toxin on you beforehand.
Done a lot of things to me beforehand, but anyway, we'll go there.
Okay.
But I still love her. That's okay.
So
I know she means well some days. Some days.
well, she does say she aims to please,
Yes.
and she's a good aim.
She's very good at it.
So Rheddrian says, with the Master having been installed in his military campaign, it gives you a chance to try to check out some other things that are happening in the world. You wanted to see what interest your groups had in events and what sort of things you wanted to go off and investigate.
Because we should stress here the fact that, the Master is still sitting on the west bank of the lake, but he's not likely to go any further. But unfortunately, the barrier did come up again, so we can't actually actively do anything against him, apparently, because the warnings from Drazzle that if any of us enter the Master-controlled lands, we won't return. It'll apply.
And you've also been warned the same thing about going into Galantry.
Well, I think the difference in Galactic was we would just die.
Yep.
Whereas crossing the Master's terrain was not a case of rapidly dying, it was not returning.
Well, but both of them you wouldn't return, but for different reasons.
Exactly.
So I asked our friends here, so what other things are important on the list of things to do at the moment?
It says, well, in Alfheim itself, there's a potential to go off and do some investigations if you have the stomach for helping the elves.
Yeah.
I think we have to.
Anytime.
Yeah. I have a soft spot for elves.
Says, Besides that, there's quite a few other things floating around that do need assistance, such as there have been some nobles that have been, or noble family members that have been captured and taken to a place called Grey Castle, somewhere in the Elven Woods. None of the elves know of its existence or who was taken, just that there's rumours that some military leaders might be convinced to change the course of battle to save their family members. And that if it gets out who they are, their family members will be killed.
That definitely sounds like something we can do.
I think that sounds very cool. Any dwarf-related activities at all? Or
There are quite a few dwarf-related activities going at the moment. Though another thing happening in Durakan, they found out that when the Master dropped the tree on Akasoli, it sent the remains of the city to hell. And they've been in contact with some of the members there, and it seems that over the last 10 years, the Master has been transporting parts of Akasoli to hell in preparation for dropping the ward tree on it.
What a nasty individual.
The King of the Dwarves has come to Durakan and has sought an audience with some of the diplomats here.
I feel I need to listen into this conversation or this meeting. Whether I have a feeling the castle, the Grey Castle.
The Grey Castle.
I took Greyskull when I first heard it.
Yeah, I'm trying to think what it was that it reminded me of. Okay, Greyskull, but I'm also thinking of Grey Hawk. So,
yes, that's the thing. Yeah. I think that sounds really important, because if we're going to lose people on our side to the enemy, then that's definitely a good thing. But
plus, there's also a meeting to discuss dealing with the Cult of the Dragon and the Chroma Conclave trying to bring back the Dragon God of Chaos.
That's a fair few things going on, it sounds like it.
Well, I haven't gone even through half of them yet.
The world hasn't stopped.
I think if we have time, I'd like to listen to the dwarf later. Then we go off to liberate the castle. What's everyone's thoughts on that?
Yeah, that sounds good.
I'm still thinking we'll observe what else is happening.
In the Five Shires, they're actually got a pirate treasure they're hunting for, known as the Wavestone, hoping it will actually help in the course of what's happening.
The Wavestone?
The Wavestone.
Wavestone, sorry.
But pirate treasure, hey, I'm sure that has other more interesting things associated with it. There's...
Well, I'm sure that the husband of the halfling has no interest in what happens in the Five Shires.
Oh, well, let's just put it this way. I do, but I know she's got it under control.
No, she's not there at the moment.
Is she?
No.
Oh, they've got a problem. She's not there, there's problems.
There's still the vampire war happening. There's still the vampire war happening in Galantry. But because of that, it's come to light that there is a network of necromantic passageways that can lead into and out of Galantry, bypassing the Immortals wards around the nation. So depending on how much you want to get involved in getting into Galantry itself.
Sorry.
Not that getting in there will actually help you at this stage, because you still don't know where it is you're looking to get to.
And as soon as we step out of those pathways, will likely come under the more watchful eye of the gods.
Though they are watching the borders of the nation more than the internals, but teleporting through by normal means will most likely get you caught.
Yeah.
Whereas the undead seem to have a way that the gods aren't watching. So in Arendi, there's a lot of weirdness happening because there's talks about a princess being captured and a rift happening between the Arendi and Mid-Rothad fleets, which could lead to another outbreak of war, causing more consternation. And with the Arendi kingdom being the main reason the Master hasn't come with a fleet of his own, they don't particularly think it would be great if they get distracted. Of more interest to Dimitri, one of the necromantic entryways to Galantry is rumoured to be in Karameikos.
Well, that's hardly surprising. Because, yes, it's certainly something that Dimitri has an interest in what's going on in that necromantic war. And also, as I say, certainly keen to try and get to Galantry to try and find the cause of what the gods are fighting over in that sense. But yeah, he's had to stay away for the time being.
Yeah, there's also the understanding that anything that might point you to where it is located inside Galantry is probably not available from Galantry.
Yeah.
The sort of things they do to keep that secret. Yeah. So in Norworld...
He's in no hurry to do the family reunion thing anyway, so that's okay.
Yeah. In Norworld, there's the Kobold Caverns of used to be the Gnomish city. There is rumours that they have artifacts related to the Kobold god stashed away there.
The Kobold god?
Yep. There is a Kobold god.
Sounds great.
Well, there are 180 gods in the setting, so there's a god for just about everything. Then there's also investigations into the cults of the Northern Reaches. The 4 elemental cults of Earth, Air, Fire and Water have also darkness as one of their aspects, and Rheddrians, after hearing all the details about the devastation orbs, wants to find out more details about what they haven't found out so far. Also of interest to the dwarfs, there's a dwarven relic known as Orc Splitter that has been, rumours of it have been surfacing that it can be found in Vestland.
Ooh.
So that is of interest.
While it extremely interesting, but I believe find out what's going on with my Dwarven King and other important missions might have to come first, but my ears are pricked up about that one.
So rumours coming out of Rockholm is the Dwarven King has recalled his people. It's put out the word that all dwarves are to return home. Those that fail to return in time will become outcasts.
Non-dwarves.
I don't like the sound of that.
And once you're an outcast, you can't get that removed.
I need to talk to them why I need to come back. Anyway,
the king has put out the king has put out the statement that all dwarves must return. He doesn't have to say why.
Me does. Sorry.
And do you still consider yourself a dwarf after having married a halfling?
I do, and I'm very proud dwarf, and I do believe that I deserve at least a reason behind this.
And the Dwarven King has used his one external visit from Rockholm in his lifetime to visit Darrakan City.
I want to make sure I'm there to catch up with him. I've got questions.
And people think Dimitri's over proud. So you're expecting the king to give you a personal audience to tell you why he's saying all dwarves should come back.
The king appreciates my input. I'm sure. I say it in the most positive way I can possibly do while looking around at the same time.
And actual warfare has broken out between the empires of Theatis and Alphatia on the Isle of Dawn. They have also discovered between the two combatants a place known as the Tomb of the Nine Gods, as in burial place, is also located in the plateau that keeps the two empires separate. It is also where you will find creatures of lizards of unusual size.
Mm-hmm.
Much like the Isle of Dread. To help with that, he has also built night rivets in the city of Karendas in Theatis, as well as Norvik and Sodderford in the northern reaches. Though he has expanded his network somewhat.
So make it easy to get back up towards where the Dark Lady and the four elemental cults are located. And then skip across to the Isle of Dawn, if we wanted to.
And then he does describe that in Yalarum they are hunting for different fabled treasures of antiquity. Something known as the Carnelian Idol, which is a idol of a small griffin carved in a red gemstone. Some Efreeti magic lamps. A weapon known as a sparkling spear, capable of taking out fire lords. The Ionian gem, and ancient gems from the founding of the Theatis Empire, which may grant you power over that empire itself.
Mm-hmm.
So but there's lots of things happening at the moment. Which things are you most interested in trying to tackle?
It's obvious that with our connections and recent associations investigating the four elemental cults up in the northern regions, which we got cut short somewhat by the assurances from the Dark Lady that no, I put them there, they're all good, they're under my control. Of course, if the Rheddrians' concern is that, hang on, these four elemental cults appear to be mixing darkness in with their natural elements, then maybe the Dark Lady's got other influences over these four cults, aside from having brought them over from Alphatia to ensure that they were not part of, or not able to support Alphatia in their conflict.
Well, from what you've
But
been
obviously, Dimitri's happy to hear other wrong opinions.
So what
Bradshaw definitely wants to be part of the conversations with the king, and if I can possibly have an audience with him, I'll ask. But I have a feeling that we might want to stop other sides joining in the wrong side, Dimitri, instead of going on a investigation mission when we can actually help sides not, conflict in wars kind of thing.
The rumor currently
going
around Rheddrian has heard is that the King of the Dwarves has broken treaty with Darrakan because Darrakan's gone to war. And the dwarves do not support other nations going to war.
So the fact that the Dwarven King is here in Darrican, when Darrican is at war, means that yes, he may be losing face with his Dwarven rank and file.
I think, I mean, there seems, yeah, like you said, there's so much going on. I think that things that seem useful are, the ice sphere, I think it was, that can potentially defeat fire lords. The stones or the amulets that can control that nation seems important.
But they were in Yalawan, weren't they?
They are.
Don't go to Yalawan.
What the hell?
Well, the point is that if you go to Yalawan, Yalawan's known for its ability to erase knowledge.
I see. But they stop that if we were in control.
No, it's not the Yalawan that does it, it's a curse upon the land on the Immortals.
Interesting. Okay. I also feel like I'm inevitably going to go to talk with the Knolls, even though I know I'm probably not supposed to. Because I feel compelled to do that. I'm going to make amends. I just know that eventually, regardless of how silly it may seem, I'm going to attempt to make amends with the Knolls and give them back that sword. I just know it. Deep down, I just know it.
You feeling guilty?
I don't know, and I don't know whether it's my character or me, but Knolls, they're just so hard done by all the time, and I've got their sword.
Well, in this region, the Knolls are amongst the most brutal of combatants that ever have gone through history.
And as a Korendian, you probably wouldn't want to be saying such things like the idea that the Knolls are put upon and to be pitied in amongst the lands of Karameikos.
I thought you said names for a minute. I was almost getting very upset. But that's
the Knolls are effectively
Knolls,
for the Teledarans who live in a land where vampires, werewolves, and everything like that are known problems that mean you don't go out in the countryside at night or whatever type stuff, and certainly never have a breakdown in front of that big castle. But for them, even with all that, Knolls are still the ultimate big bad because they're the ones that destroyed the nation
of Trolldom
generations ago.
They're just misunderstood, though, aren't they? No one's just patted them on the back and just said, "Hey, mate, you all right?"
So I believe the sword was associated with the kobolds, not the Knolls.
So you were saying you had issues with kobolds during your introduction, and you now talk about Knolls, so I wasn't certain there was a confusion there. But...
maybe there is. Maybe I am getting confused.
That's okay. I'm sure he's got amends to make with all forms of bad people.
Now I legitimately am confused. Where did I get this sword from?
You got it from the king of Vestland.
Yeah, but it was upon investigating, it seems like it's a relic of the kobolds, right?
Yes, that's correct.
And the thing that you mentioned before was that Knolls or kobold?
Kobolds. A city of kobolds that used to be a city of gnomes, which I'm sure Bradshaw will just love to help investigate.
Yeah.
Well, but that's okay because Bradshaw will be fine with investigating because obviously it's always been kobold.
Yeah.
Since the Romans don't exist.
Don't they use things? Even that my hammer.
How do they use the things when they don't exist?
Well, Rachel just said, just go with it, okay? Shut up, Shut up.
But you do know that every time you say that around your wife, she hits you in the back of the head.
She's right. She's not doing other things. It's okay.
Occasionally with an open hand. Now he's come the real reason Bradshaw wasn't there for the last 2 months of the war.
I was beaten to a pulp. Yes. She hurts me, guys. She hurts me.
Domestic violence.
Well, she's got to practice on someone.
Honey, I've got this new move I can do. What? Oh, sorry. Yeah. Just for the new paladin, our first date together, she killed the whole pub, so we could have a quiet date together in the pub. So that was her way. That's a way of her appreciating my gesture of going out on a date with her. So.
And was that the point when you realised that she was the one?
Oh yeah, well I already was smitten when she had red hair, but I had a thing in my character for I like red hair girls.
And to make sure that he knew of her act. Yeah.
Well, you can be girly, it doesn't mean you're a girl, okay? So
That's just funny.
I'm leaving that one alone, Jeremy. Not down there. If you want me to go there, I'll go there, but you won't regret it, okay? So.
I was merely making the observation.
So watch out when you're wearing those dress robes.
I did say female in my trait. I made sure of that. Not humans acting as females. It's a different thing on that one. So.
The humans can't really be females. They don't have beards.
I mean, to be fair, Dimitri didn't have red hair when Bradshaw first met him.
No, I didn't.
Because the red hair was the result of his time down at the Hollow World.
Well, I really didn't notice Dimitri for the first 3 or 4 years anyway, so it's okay. So. Yeah, I heard this little whiny human arc up about some sort of idea, and I'm going, whatever, just do it.
And now that he's got red hair, Bradshaw pays more attention to him. See, it's working.
No, Martin, no.
He just sat there for hours listening to Dimitri talk.
No, Bradshaw just had to catch up because he didn't wait for 2 minutes. That's all. Not because you got red hair, okay? I might find a wizard to get a potion and fix that. Okay.
Yes, you can get a potion of sex change. That will help.
No. I'm trying to find a potion to change his, remove his hair completely. There's no chance of him worrying about the end. So I'll work it out.
It's called a shaver.
His hair, he had something bigger that Bradshaw noticed when he was sitting there listening raptly to Dimitri talk for hours about the battles of the last couple of months.
Mm-hmm.
So you would notice that, in fact, amongst the tales that were completely glossed over during the description was the fact that Dimitri has now got a significant part of his hair is missing due to large scarring across the side of his skull.
He's actually been heavily into the combat you missed. You actually missed out on a big war.
That's okay. Dimitri will learn someday.
So how is Bradshaw dealing with the fact that he missed out on the battle?
It's okay. He had his own battles at home to sort out, so it's okay.
Yes,
He's
clearly.
Battles with dust and mould.
He's still getting used to his new title and all that kind of stuff, and it took him a while to get used to it. And the cost of things like house hubby, punching bag, usual stuff. So.
She wasn't there for all of it.
I know, but I had the drink. I had the drink in between it, so don't worry. Yeah. Takes to get a drink and recover. She came back and says, "Oh, you still haven't done it." Bam, 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 bam. Goes back to recovery, and that's how it works. So.
Okay.
Bradshaw is regretting not being there, but it's okay. As long as somebody could hurt Dimitri, it'll be okay about it.
Okay, so what does Bradshaw send to the Dwarven King to request audience?
On behalf of my new clan, I suppose, or new place, I would request the audience to find out why all dwarves are being recruited back to Rockholm.
So that's the clan that's part of the Gnomish Kingdom?
I will say as a dwarven... Oh, I don't know what it is that. Getting anyone upset. Okay, something happened. I think dwarven overlord. That could come back and bite me. As a state running of this gnome who I use to benefit the Darian clan, and just try to, be as pompous as I can possibly be, which is very hard for Rachel, but I would, and just say, I'd just like to have a quick audience while you're in the town, before you head back to Rockholm, to find out what's the huge concern about getting all dwarves back to Rockholm, because I'm big, as a...
Is he seriously expecting anything more than a note from some random lowly court functionary of, well, get home and you'll find out? I'd be surprised.
I'm willing to hand deliver the note too.
So, as you go out to hand and deliver the note, you find out that the Dwarven King is holding court in what appears to be a castle that sprung up just outside Darrakan City. Wasn't there the day before. But it has hundreds of dwarves on the battlements, having the royal banner flowing from some of its towers, and lots of dignitaries going in and out, including what appears to be the Elven King.
I would like to see if I could get access to said castle.
Okay, you rock up at the gate and they're asking for your title and letter of introduction.
I says, I unfortunately, due to my interest recently, I haven't received my letter, but my title. You must know of the Durgan clan.
Which clan's that one, he says?
Durgan.
He looks at the list and saying, so not one of the noble families then?
But I am a grand adventurer, and I'd like to have, just to find out why this sudden call of all dwarves back to Rockholm.
It's the king's prerogative.
Surely you must know more than just... There must be a reason behind this.
There's always a reason behind everything, he says, looking at you and saying, and so you wish the king to explain to you his own thinking behind his actions?
Well, it doesn't have to be a king. It could be a sub below the king. I'd just like to know why because I have many adventures around at the moment to benefit the dwarves, and I feel that taking me back to the city would be a negative impact to this situation.
So you're wishing someone to explain the king's policies and reasoning?
If possible, yes. And doesn't have to be the king. King probably looks like he's quite busy right now, I understand.
He says, well, you have probably about maybe up to a year before you won't be able to go to Rockholm again.
A year.
Possibly less, possibly more. Once the borders shut, they shut. Anyone outside the borders at that time will be considered no longer a dwarf.
Of course, now you've confirmed that you've received the message, and obviously all dwarves could be looking to follow the king's command post-haste. There's obviously no reason why it will take you long to get there.
I'm a bit... No, I like to have reason since my adventuring days, since when I was a warrior on the watch kind of thing. I'm a bit more, hang on, there's something else going on here kind of thing. So it's... But unfortunately, these numbnuts, who I'm not going to say numbnuts out there in front of the warriors, but
he says you're also not anyone of influence who get of the inner council of the king. So the actual reasons behind his actions are part of the inner circle only.
Look, I'll pull you aside and I'll say, he's just trying to get more dwarves to send to the meat grinder. You know that, right?
Yeah, but I don't know what kind of meat grinder they're talking about. Have they got their own threat? That kind of stuff I'm interested in. So, but if I can help out on the outside, I'll do it, kind of thing. Because, while we're just talking between, whispering not in front of the guards too much, but whispering going, I'm not going to be going back. I just want to know why they want me to come back, because I can do some stuff on the outside that can help them.
Well, you've also not heard of the king in the history of Rockholm recalling old dwarves before.
Yeah, and I'm a bit sussy that kings. That sounds out of sort of what a king would usually do, as such, in that sense.
No, it's actually fully within their authority. If the king declares that all dwarves follow.
It's just the fact that it's not authority that the Dwarf King has used in living memory.
And
He's got the authority to do it.
There are a few other things the Dwarven King can proclamate and be done. He can even proclamate that all dwarves must shave their beard. And all dwarves will be required to do so. But
I knew that, and I wasn't happy about that rule.
It's good. When you get to send people into a meat grinder, you don't want to have to be cleaning out all the hair.
That's a good point. Okay. I've done my investigation. Not happy about it, but I've done my investigation.
Maybe when you get some titles behind you, you might be heard a bit more, he says, as you leave.
Yeah.
Maybe if your beard's a little more impressive, we might actually pay more attention to you.
Yeah. I'm going. Yeah, I remember you going back to the bloody dungeon when I finished with you, when I come back. But anyway.
Well, considering by his eyes, Mark, your character's not even an adult yet.
Oh, that's right.
So you're a child asking what the adults have done, and there's very few dwarven adults who would actually tell you what's going on in politics at your age.
I understand, man. I'm just trying to play the character.
All good. And that was me putting the exclamation for is why your character got dissed so much by the dwarves here.
I'm still a not a teenager, but a very young 20-year-old at the moment. So.
As I said, people think Dimitri's pompous and proud.
Yeah, well, these old ways, I don't know. But anyway, I head back to the rest of the group. Go, okay, I've done my thing. Where do we want to go next? So, I'm quite content. And no, I'm not going back to Rockholm. You're going to ask me that question. So. They need a dwarf on the outside, I say. So. And if that means it has to be me, then I'll make a name for myself, come back. No, listen to me.
Well, is there a quick way to
You won't come back.
There is. You can go to Norvik as the closest stop to Rockholm itself.
And is that on the way to Alfheim?
Actually, your Alfheim is quite a lot closer. So you're in Darken at the moment. So
Alfheim is actually located within the borders of Darken.
So if I can bring the map up so you can actually see.
Yes. Rockholm is.
So you guys are around. If you can see a moving thingy, where is it? There it is. There. You can see the moving mouse. At all. That's where the Darken city is. Alfheim is this big nation beside it, and Rockholm's another big nation further on. There's no road between Alfheim and Darken. So Alfheim and Rockholm.
So we could just walk into the door and come out in Norvik.
You can, yes.
Well, that sounds okay.
Except that Rockholm tends to be fairly isolationist and xenophobic at the best of times. So I suspect that, particularly if all dwarves have been called back to Rockholm, there's a good chance that it will be more challenging for any non-dwarves to enter Rockholm.
You'd also expect all non-dwarfs will be expelled from Rockholm at the same time.
Exactly. If the king has decided for the first time ever that all dwarves should return not to Rockholm, presumably it is not for a cup of tea and then going back out again.
So,
Presumably, when they return, they'll be there for a extended period of time, which in dwarven terms means a lifetime for at least the humans.
yes, most of the time when policies like this are enacted, it's because they are withdrawing from having to take part in a war.
Well, we can still leave that option open if we go to Alfheim. And if Mark or Bradshaw wants to step through the door, that's open to him.
I feel I have more important things on the outside to do at the moment, so. And I don't want to kill all the doors because my wife gets upset I and she gets crap on anymore.
Well, she won't be allowed to go in there.
Oh no, she'll make her way in there.
I say, you don't want the dwarf to die when his wife comes looking for him.
That's what I'm trying to get to. I'm worried about innocent dwarves dying because my wife I didn't say bye to my wife or didn't give her a kiss before I went down there. That's what I'm concerned about. She doesn't just go, oh, that's okay, honey, it's okay, I'll forgive you. She's not that kind of person, so. Sure, I forgive you. I'll forgive you after the 50th dwarves killed in love, so.
It's okay. We all know that Bradshaw's not really a dwarf, and by this time after this we recognise.
Yeah, he'll be an honorary gnome.
Yeah, okay, whatever. You know, I'm gonna don't need to mention anymore.
Well, he has sided with the Gnomish Kingdom, so they have offered dwarves a home away from home.
Yeah, while I used to have a big issue with gnomes, I have softened in from my teenage years to my young 20s.
Old age.
Yeah. I couldn't say old age because old age for dwarves is pretty old actually.
About 450 years old.
Yeah, I know. And I'm only going 20 or 30, so it's not that far.
You don't even have a full beard yet.
I do have a beard.
Not just not a full beard.
Not a full beard, it's a beard. Well, I'm not going to a helmet all the time, it's still a beard, okay? I saw the teams kicking on dwarves right now. Kicking on non-dwarven dwarves without beard. You know, 2 games in a row, man. Okay.
I didn't say you were without a beard. I just said it's not fully grown.
Yeah, so let's picking on beards again. One game only, man. Okay. So leave the Pathfinder game to that one. Okay.
You're in your mid-20s. Demetrius actually older than you are.
Well, you are, but I still have respect for you. That's right. I've got E20s in dwarven years, which is probably about 45, 50, say 60.
Well, into your character, actually, your character would be between the ages of 25 and 50, because once he gets the age of 50, he's required to return home anyway.
Yeah. So I'm on the around the 30, 40, I reckon, from last year.
That would make more sense, yes.
Yeah. Even after the death and come back again. Yes. But,
well, he could claim he's only as old as his new body.
Well, you don't. That's another discussion for another day. But look, as Brad was like, okay, whatever you decide to go, I'm happy to.
So what was happening in Alfheim that was where the Grey Castle was being. It was somewhere in Grey Castle which had the kidnapped family members that was influencing the actions of certain warriors and leaders within the
military leaders
right?
and stuff,
When we're talking military, the sorts of the families that are kidnapped, are we talking a purely human, purely Darrican, or are we talking a much broader selection of personnel involved?
Rheddrian doesn't know for sure. It's just that divinations say it can affect the outcome of the war if they're not recovered.
Oh yeah, no, just like the people who have actually disappeared.
But they could easily be elven, halfling, or human.
It's not just humans. So.
Unlikely to be dwarves because there's no dwarves in the field of battle.
Yeah.
Which Bradshaw seems to have helped keep true.
Yeah. So,
Well, let's carve our way into that forest and get to that castle.
Problem is, I'm not exactly sure where in the forest it is.
Well, we just need to get rid of all the trees. It'd be much more obvious then.
Well, Rheddrians does say there's a quick way of doing that.
Yeah, I'm aware of a couple of quick ways of doing it.
No, we're not doing that.
He says it would also get rid of all the elves at the same time, so that wouldn't be a problem for you.
Yes, it
But they face it, the elves are looking to die off anyway to stop the Master's powers rising, so...
And Rachel just say, I prefer less elven deaths as possible. It's strange for me. I'm just saying this. Yeah, I'm just saying just less elven deaths. Is there a way we can track where the castle is?
If we were going down that pathway, it would be important to try and ensure that whilst the trees can be removed, we want to make certain libraries survive. To me, to be happy to spend some time in the elven library for this elven.
So most of their libraries are up trees, so if the trees go away, so will the libraries.
Well, no, that's quite exactly. In fact, you have to be careful to ensure that the libraries are not lost. Whether that means they're removed first or whether those trees survive.
Well, I mean, we're ultimately probably going to have to go and source some sort of information potentially from a library to sort of see if we can find, maps or whatever to indicate where this grey castle is.
Dimitri, you good at this stuff? You reckon you better sort that
out? Certainly, the information if it can be found. I've basically already got home.
Good work, Dimitri. Good to see you do something.
I'm just trying to think. It was this group, I think Plummer was involved, that actually went into Elfheim and got led by the
This group.
led by the Elven who were the Gorko's war friend.
It was this group.
Chase down the unicorn being eaten or being attacked by the beholder or something.
What was this group?
That was this group? Yeah.
It was. Brightsword was the one you dealt with.
Brightsword, yeah. So, yeah, obviously, it is certainly, we have connections with the Elfheim that are likely to be useful in that sense. And obviously we don't need to actually bush bash our way through the trees to get to Elfheim, because we've got the nice river inn just outside Elfheim City. So Dimitri certainly would be happy enough to visit back there again. But he certainly rates the creators of the Devastation Orgs and the fact that they apparently sell to the highest bidder. A disconcerting issue that needs to be sorted out.
Yes, it does make things a bit harder for you guys.
Well, unless of course we put in the highest bid. We'll get tossed a few Devastation Orgs next time the tariff comes up and knocks down the barrier for us.
And there's rumors that Durakan is planning a expedition to take out the Orcish fortresses to the north of Alfheim.
They in the Broken Lands?
No, they're in Durakan's lands, part of the Lesser Dwarfgate region and Greater Dwarfgate region.
Yeah.
You can see the Tower Resort on the map. There is one of them. I'm just going to duck to the bathroom while you figure out if you want to make any other choices.
Is that a we should be making other choices?
If it's going to do something, I give you to go with whatever is appropriate. I mean, like, you do also from a player perspective, we're not expected to try and cover everything that happens all the time.
Yeah.
Because other, like, I could say from the player perspective, the Tuesday night group are effectively dealing with, or planning to deal with, the whole arena situation to the south. So it is the sort of thing that just because we don't select something does not mean that it won't be at least investigated or can be dealt with.
Yeah, sure.
And technically the 3 player groups are also not the only resources that Rheddrians got available. So the idea is to also send other NPC groups
Yeah, sure.
to investigate things that aren't otherwise being done. So it's certainly appropriate to select things that not like you don't necessarily select things based upon perceived importance, but potentially on the perceived likelihood that the group that you're playing will be able to affect the outcome. So, like, for example, like one of the groups that has, if you've got a group with no elves in it, they probably shouldn't be trying to get into Alpine.
Sure.
A group with no dwarves probably shouldn't be going to Rockholm.
And
A group with any non-dwarves is actually going to work, but
you also get extra information if you have characters that come from the region in question.
Yeah, right.
So don't necessarily pick things on what you think is something that needs to be sorted.
Sure, yeah.
Thinking of maybe otherwise dealt with. But you go pick the stuff that makes most sense for your character or for the group that we're with.
Yeah. Well, I mean, for the purposes of, my character's motivations, like, purely a hostage type situation is, almost like a no-brainer.
High up on the list.
Something to be solved. Yeah. But it's, it's the benefit of innocence being rescued whilst also, potentially,
there's certainly going to be some ancillary benefits or results.
The fact that there's going to be military benefits to solving that solution just sort of seems like an easy win for, our long-term goals.
Whereas me to think, it's still only a matter of a dozen or 4 families or things like that. Yeah. They're not really likely to have much influence, unlike a Dimitri. Obviously, if Dimitri is involved, the more he likes already, but...
Well, we can't all be Dimitri, there's only a limited amount of them.
Exactly. But that's why obviously non-Dimitris don't matter.
Which is why it really does hurt Dimitri's, sense of pride that one of the other characters managed to make a general and he was just a commander. And it was a heathen, no less.
That's right.
A non-sharing character.
Well, that was actually not character. just to really love Scott's input. But hey, it's not like these used to be such grandiose titles anyway. He knows, he understands that for the look of the thing, Derek had to make the peasantry feel important which is why they put them up on that pedestal like that. But Dimitri was there to offer the advice that required.
Okay, so while you're discussing things, you see a rather tall elf enter wearing quite intricate armor. Shows dwarfish clan runes in there, inlaid in the armor itself.
Right.
Inlaid with what appears to be gold, as well as having a sword that looks more impressive the closer you look at it.
Sorry, so where are they entering?
Where you guys
Right
are.
through here where we are. You mean?
Oh, in the end, yeah.
He has long golden flowing hair.
Is he someone we recognise?
So I gave you the wrong name earlier for the person who had been helping you in the elf team. It was Alion Tree Life who had actually been helping you.
Yeah, so he sound quite like me, but I'll still look back to my notes to find the other thing. But yeah, so just, is it Arion that's actually come through the doorway?
It is.
Ah, okay.
So he's got a new vest on.
He had that on previously when you met him.
Right.
When he'd been talking to Bradshaw. So Bradshaw does remember the armor more than the person. Because, hey, all elves look alike to him.
Dimitri will certainly greet Alion as he enters. Now, I think we were discussing this in the other group, this sort of thing that, it's the transportation network that's definitely only available for Rheddrians, investigation bureaus. It's not like the like of it in actually stop other customers or anything like that attendees. So.
The other people get into the inn, they just can't use the transportation network.
Yeah, so the fact that Alion has actually entered the inn is not necessarily indicative of, hey, he must be one of Rheddrian's team. Yeah, but it's certainly potentially there. So then they say, well, Dimitri, yes. Greetings, it's good to see you. We were in fact just talking about you again, friend.
I've just come from talking to the King of Rockham, and I thought I'd seek you out to, having seen you line up to try to get in to see how you went with your investigations. As you seem to be doing lots of those.
Yeah. Well, yes.
Do we trust him?
Well, he's the one that led us through the through Alpine.
Oh yeah, that's pretty good.
Get to the where the unicorn, the village that disappeared.
Yeah.
And yeah, the dreamland that turned out was what the the unicorn represented. So,
Okay.
so certainly someone who his actions and the what we know about him, his history, there's no reason not to distrust him. Some of his exploits or reputed exploits might be exaggerated, unlike Dimitri, but yeah, other than that.
Well, he doesn't actually talk about his exploits very often, so he's probably one of the few, unlike Dimitri, who doesn't brag about what he's done.
No, that's not saying that. The reputed stories about him, not ones that he told, but the reputed stories about him, obviously exaggerated. Unlike any story about Dimitri.
So how did you go with the King of Rockham? Did you manage to sign up for the diplomatic envoy quest?
Well, the young Bradshaw here was the one that actually went to go and see the king. I don't know. He hasn't actually said how he went or what happened.
So well met, drinking buddy. He says, giving you a fist bump to the arm.
Yeah, thank you. Unfortunately, my reputation is not as good as yours, therefore I wasn't able to find out what the deal was going back to Wild Wars, going back to Rockholm. So unless you know any more information about that at all?
Well, I know the king from drinking days back in my youth, he says. Not looking like he's older than a 16-year-old.
Yeah, I know, I'm a bit young to ask these sort of questions right now, but...
That's just right. He doesn't mind. He was not told not to tell anyone. So, from what he managed to get out of the King of the Dwarves, which is surprisingly a lot considering how tight-lipped the guy is, the Dwarves have pretty much broken off contact with nearly the rest of the known world, and are withdrawing to Rockholm in the desire to seal themselves off from the rest of the world.
Generally, I think that sort of, for want of a better word, rock curtain type setup generally doesn't lead to favourable foreign relations. At least the things that Peregrine learned in his studies whilst he was trying to be a paladin, generally nations cutting themselves off from the world like that, leads to bad things.
It does, though.
Why he's made the unprecedented step of actually coming out here to Darrakhan to take the opportunity to explain to those that need to know the fact that the dwarves are about to close their borders.
This is not a directive from the king, but from the god of the dwarves. So any dwarf that fails to heed the call will be excommunicated from the religion for the rest of their natural life, he says.
It is getting a bit extreme.
Dwarves, they're extreme. Have you not met dwarves before? He says.
Rachel's got his arm going on. Like, we are extreme. We
all know Rachel doesn't count, so.
He laughs at that and he says, well, to be honest, the elves have tried to talk them out of it, but once a dwarf has made a decision, it's very hard pressed to get them to change their mind. You may as well be trying to talk the sun into staying up all night.
We all know that mules are perfectly obedient and willing to change their minds for the higher thing.
He's had more luck getting mules to actually pay attention to him than he has dwarves. He admits to that.
You know what we need to do? I reckon you can stop the dwarves dead in their tracks from following through this whole sort of recalling all the dwarves. Because, if they didn't have, any of their sparklies and their shinies and their loot, right, they wouldn't do it. So we need a heist, and we're going to steal all of their stuff.
He said that won't work because the fact that they're withdrawing, they're breaking all their trade agreements with every nation that they've made the agreements with.
Oh, wow.
And the king's accomplishments in his life are associated with those trade agreements. So the king's actually causing himself a lot of political issues amongst the clans by following this. The economic ones of the dwarves will be quite harsh, but once God says, do this, it's very hard-pressed not to do what the gods dictate. The gods be crazy sometimes, and especially the hard-headed dwarves are probably just as hard-headed as their god. Though what has come out from the discussion with the dwarves is that it's a matter of survival. If the dwarves are on the surface, there's a good chance they will be wiped out in the next few years.
Sounds like they know something that it'd be good for us to know.
They've had messages from the God.
that their god has declared that they must withdraw from the everything that's happening right now.
And let's face it, it's not like they've done anything to the war so far.
It also doesn't help that the elves took to the field in defense of Darrakan, because the dwarves will never follow the elves into battle.
Maybe
So,
one
okay,
day.
we probably should be thankful the dwarves are not going to take the side of our facia.
That is true. The
Maybe
good,
one day, if we're in a pub at the moment talking to my great friend, my drinking buddy, I just say, look, maybe over time things might change, but look, I feel there's better things to do in the service than actually play around right now.
well, his great relief is that the great dwarven war machines will not see the battlefield.
Yes, that's very
Because of all nations in the region, the dwarven war machines are the most terrifying things he's seen in his long life.
I don't know. I don't know if you caught a glimpse of what was the other side of the master's barrier when we were over there a couple of weeks ago.
He does agree that what you're facing with the master is terrifying enough, but there's some of the dwarven war machines can rival what the master's doing.
Anyway, moot point.
So you made your choice anyway, haven't you?
Yeah, very sure, mate. Look, I believe there's more good to be done on the service and below at the moment. And
Does well,
if that means I'm an outcast, then so be it. But I know that I'll be able to, over time, I might eventually be able to get them to understand. So.
well, at least you've thrown in your lot with the gnomes. They will support you, though it does mean that the only welcoming you'll get in the lands of Rockholm from this point forward will be in the gnomish cities.
That's
Good long as you don't exist.
They do exist, yes. Sorry, we had a question for you. We were looking to find this castle, and I explained what we're trying to do, I think. So, we thought you might have some knowledge where it might be located.
It says something like that is bound to be near one of the bad magic points of Alfheim, because of all the places of the forest, they're the only places that are not mapped or kept under any form of surveillance. They only care about what comes out of those regions, not what's inside them.
What sort of what sort of people or things would be likely to control such a location?
He doesn't expect they control
could
it.
use it as potentially as a place to store prisoners.
It would be a great place to build any form of hideaway that you don't expect anyone else to come across. Humans have been known to build in the bad magic points in the past, as have orcs and goblins.
So the expectation is that yes, there are non-elves in Alpine that have managed to gain control of some of the territory.
Well, they don't actually control it. They basically have residences there. The bad magic points are not something you can control. It's not a safe place to build a residence either, as titans have been known to come out of the ether and destroy and rampage the countryside all around it.
Yes, I do recall that there were issues last time we wandered around the area.
Yeah, and it says the one most likely to have people from Darrakan would be in Dragon Tree, as that's the one closest to any form of civilization. The rest of them the other two being deep into the forests.
Now, I can't actually quite see the map properly. I'm assuming Dragon Tree is one of the
southernmost
trees
one. Is the southernmost
on
red
the far
one.
west. Okay.
So that the red skull and crossbones are the bad magic points.
Uh,
Oh, okay. Oh, okay, so we're talking right down the southern border. Is that
Yep,
right?
that's correct.
Okay.
Just off the road.
Yeah. Well, that certainly makes it more convenient to investigate then too, and it saves trying to actually go through Elfheim itself.
It says you wouldn't want to do that.
Okay. Obviously, Elfheim is a lovely place to visit, but the welcome one got there was a bit variable.
Welcome will be even less now because the elves are pulling out.
of Alpha.
They will not be there shortly, he says.
Jeez.
Without the trees of life, there's nothing holding them now.
Mm.
How are they going with their uprooting of the trees?
Slowly, he says. Even from an elf's perspective, it's painfully slow.
Well, I suspect it needs to be done carefully and correctly.
Yes, he would love that they speed it up a little bit, but he's been known to be hasty for an elf.
Helps the world go faster. More exciting when things happen.
He says, so do you have any other questions about what's going on here? He says, oh, by the way, if you were interested in hunting the Dwarven Relic, you might want to ask the King's Guard about that, because they might have some more information on it.
And I'm sure they'd be happy to talk to our racial expert. Yourself, what have you been up to? How's it going?
He's been helping with trying to placate the forest now that most of what has been powering it is going away. The Fae are getting riled up is the best way to say it, because most of them have relied on what the trees of life have provided to the forest, and now that's fading, most of the trees are dying, and the dark Fae are becoming more prevalent than the forest Fae.
Well, yes, and I'm guessing that it's not like Garrick or any other particularly potentially friendly force is likely to have been exerting much influence as the elves withdraw. So I guess it's likely that the going through. But so yes, have you been spending your time in Elfheim? You haven't had the opportunity to enjoy a bit of beef and bash up in the on the north side of the lake?
He would love to have gone off and done that, but someone had to keep the people safe. The forests are no longer safe for elves. He does not recommend travelling in less than a large armed contingent.
Well, probably again a fortunate thing if what's happened with Dragon King or something I think it was called. But if we were going to go investigate that particularly bad magic land, that it doesn't involve significant travel through the forest of Elfheim.
That should help you see it a bit better.
Yeah, Dragon King, yes, okay, that makes sense.
Dolos is the quickest way to Dragon Tree, he says.
Sorry, okay.
The town of Dolos is the quickest way to Dragon
Yeah,
Tree.
okay, taking the back south road, yes. Would certainly make sense.
Oh, so we can make it to Dolos through the door.
No, you can't.
Well, no, it'd be quicker to be basically going along the road between Garrick and Skelenica, so I don't think there's any likelihood along any of those towns between Garrick and Skelenica, would there be?
There is not.
No.
Okay.
But because it's a good solid road along there, basically yes, if we just take the road to Dolos and then another day or so to get to Dragon Tree. So.
trying to get
Without having to face too much of the dark phase that is starting to take over. Unless, of course, well, there's a fair chance that a lot of dark phase probably originated from the area of Dragon Tree and the other bad next places, but hey, that's just a side point.
Okay, this should give you hopefully a better idea of where it all is. Okay. So that puts them both on the map for you. Where you are, you're in dark, and there's a road that basically goes almost straight to Dragon Tree.
Okay. Yeah, so 19 hexes between Darrican and Dragon Tree, or the direct down to Dragon Tree. So.
And as you could, and each hex is 8 mile, you could quite easily travel 3 hexes in a day without exhausting yourself.
Okay.
And after our busy last couple of months, a nice week or so of casual travel would be quite pleasant.
I can probably run that distance, but whatever.
You probably could in half the time.
Yeah.
I mean, hey, we're not here to rush, so it's not like we're on board there.
How does the Paladin feel about getting there?
Look, I'm happy to get there as fast as we can without arriving exhausted. I think it's better that we stick together. I'm happy to. I mean, we're taking out a contingent of men at arms and all that sort of stuff with us, I presume. So we're effectively a small army. I guess I don't know. Well, maybe in that case, if we do have our fellows with us, like people can split up and go faster or slower.
Well, although on this particular journey, yes, we could be taking all our whole trippers, but there's the Rheddrian teleportation network. Are they happy to take Rheddrian staff and retinue every time they transport?
They do take that. They can take the staff and your retinue with you.
They do go retinue as well. Okay, so I was confirmed it wasn't it wasn't restricted numbers or anything like that.
Yeah.
That's I sort of wonder whether it's going to be some sort of situation where, like, we get to the castle, we have to set up camp where we, begin these prolonged hostage negotiations or something. In which case, I don't know a lot of people. A lot of my fellows, they're polishing my armor and making breakfast.
Making sure that your horse is properly ready.
Yeah.
Probably presentable.
Yeah. Like if I need to go in and negotiate with people every day, I want to look like the part. If I turn up with rings under my eyes, I'm not going to take these negotiations very seriously.
And plus, if you need to fight, you don't want to be fighting at your worst.
Absolutely. I'll be full of bacon and eggs.
Well, there are a lot of halfling communities along the way. Because the mountains to the south of where you are is halfling territory.
I see.
Just confirming, Martin, that I'm guessing the sort of provinces of Darrican that are marked with red borders and things like that, we have to cross a few of while travelling on the road. There's no expectation or concern with any of those locations?
No, they're basically areas where different laws are in charge of.
They're provinces of Darrican ruled by appropriate Darrican merchant princes, whatever. And also it means that we can have good lodgings a couple of times on the way, aside from the, I'm sure, all more than eminent coaching houses approximately every 24 miles.
Well, by being commanders of the army of Darrican, you do get preferential seating and accommodation on your travels.
Well, those of us who fought.
The dwarf's still a commander, as is the paladin. They just don't have the little sparkly bit of badge to go with it to show that they fought in the war.
Oh, don't you worry, I'm gonna get other sparkly badges. I'm gonna get so many goddamn sparkly badges.
I don't really need to sleep, but
You'll have a while to catch up with Dimitri's number of sparkly badges.
Because he's actually fought in more than one war. He's got some from when he was serving the Karameikos army.
He's an officer in multiple armies.
Okay, so on the end of the week, you find yourself reaching the region of Dragon Tree. The rest of the week passed rather quickly. Once you set out,
Before we left Darrican, for the people obviously had the opportunity to do any shopping or things like that, they felt they needed to, because obviously we've got a good magic store here in Darrican.
we'll add more items later, just that unfortunately that stuff's all still in pieces on my website.
Yeah, I know, okay. Certainly, Dimitri's not going into the store because, hey, he knows that, yep, what you ask for is not necessarily what you get, or might be specifically what you get. And Bradshaw is aware.
He's still got his heavy crossbow.
Yeah.
Angry crossbow.
No, it is a heavy crossbow because it's got a rock tied to it.
That's right. It's an angry bow, not a crossbow. Or there's not people think of it as a crossbow. It's an angry short bow with a rock tied to it. But it's natural because it talks.
He yells himself. Well, beware what they describe. So, you managed to reach Dragon Tree rather uneventfully with a lot of fanfare and flowers thrown in your path by grateful members of the Darrican countryside.
Dimitri will gracefully accept his deserved praise.
Well, he's got more praise here than he has in his own homeland.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of these are Traldaran people.
Yeah, well, I mean, that's because obviously in Karameikos, it's gone down to a quest by the Dians, so. I'm assuming that our elven friend did not accompany us.
Did you want him to? Because you didn't ask him to.
Well, it was the sort of thing I was certainly going to offer him the opportunity.
yeah.
Want to come and visit, or come along, or return to Elfheim by the roundabout route.
No, I'm happy to come along.
They're asking the. He was.
I'm talking about
Alien tree life, yeah.
He goes. He thinks that Trellin should be able to be enough elven protection for you in the forest. He's sure he's elf enough now.
It's alright. I'll look
Well, I've got a tree ants longbow. I don't know if that is a offence to the tree ants or.
It depends on if it was freely given or carved from their dead flesh, he says.
Can you tell me?
Why don't you ask the treant it came from? I'm sure you can speak with the dead on the bow and nothing happens. Then obviously the bow wasn't taken from a dead treant.
Alright, I'll do that. But I don't know how to do that.
Find a worthwhile cleric.
Okay, I will try and find a worthwhile cleric along the way.
Try not to ask a druid, they might get offended. Apparently trees are friends, not weapons.
Right.
Well, and also obviously it's not entirely clear as to whether or not it was a treant bow that just was made for a treant, or whether it just was used by a treant.
That is true.
Yes.
And
it is magical +1, so and it isn't cursed. So anyway, we just see.
That's still a good bow, yes.
Yeah.
most elves have learned how to give how to have trees give living wood instead of just cutting off wood and carving it.
Nice.
But it can take centuries for them to grow a branch.
Mm.
So the branch you have may be older than you are.
Particularly also the idea is that it's got to be grown into the shape of the bow. But yes, so we're saying that yes, so early on Greenleaf was happy enough that
And early in Tree Life,
enough elven influence if we have to require the elven influence.
he believes he's now wise enough to deal with owls.
Cool.
Considering he was a little rough around the edges when he first met him.
Well, it looks like it's just
We're still a fairly new elf at that time.
Yeah.
And and hopefully, if this great castle is located in the vicinity of Dragon Tree, then by the sound of it, we probably won't meet many elves anyway, because hey, they've withdrawn away, and I guess they weren't hanging around Dragon Tree much before they were drawn away.
Yes, it was mainly Cool Hands and Brightsword who looked after the dark areas of the forest.
Or at least stop the dark areas spreading.
Well, dark areas appear and disappear all the time. Those three that are well known have been around the longest. The magic of the forest means that the dark places can never go away without the forest collapsing.
So that doesn't mean they can't expand though.
That is also true, but the magic that creates them doesn't expand them by much. But once the magic fades, then who knows how big or small they will become.
No, sorry, certainly the remaining magic of Elfheim probably helped to stop them spreading.
You created limits, yes.
That's certainly going to be waning now, so therefore.
Though he says beware the trees because the trees are no longer friendly to owls.
That's right, everybody loves to be sure.
Oh, that's problematic. Do we know why the trees aren't friendly to elves anymore?
Because the forest is becoming angry and spiteful.
Because the elves are effectively withdrawing from the forest.
Oh, okay.
They're taking their trees and going home. Cool.
Packing up and leaving.
Hang on, so the elves are leaving Elfheim.
They're leaving the known world, yeah.
Oh, so hang on. So is this a trait that like all of the races are sort of, or a lot of the races are embarking on, like kind of withdrawing in order to
Sort of becoming isolationists.
like whether
They'll take over by like permanent.
Well, currently there's a war of.
we do like breeding.
There's a couple of there are a couple of genocidal wars just starting up right now.
The humans might kill themselves off while the dwarves and elves withdraw. So. But the other factor with the elves withdrawing is they're aiming to basically take the Master's power source away from him by removing the world trees from the world. So since the Master's using the world tree to help power his abilities, the theory is that if the elves withdraw and take their trees with them, then anything left will perish and die, and therefore the power of the Master will perish, which will allow it then to be defeated.
So the
unlike the dwarves, the elves are actually doing it for more noble purposes.
So the elves have what they call the Tree of Life, which is a artifact linked to the world tree that connects all the planes together. If the Master gets his hands on just one of the elven trees of life, all elves instantly die, and the Master becomes a god. And most of the area around you will just die. So the elves are taking their trees of life and trying to get them out of reach of the Master. And the only reason they entered the war with a Darkin was to delay the Master long enough for them to get their trees away.
Okay, so when along Greenleaf was saying that he stayed at Elfheim to try and work there, it was the fact that the elves had effectively divided somewhat. Many stayed in Elfheim to deal with the trees of life and result in backlash of the rest of the forest, but also many went to the north side of the lake to actually prevent the Master from getting around on that side, to then have open access to Darkin and the remainder of the known world.
And from the perspective of elves, the trees of life are also the lifeblood of their forest. So they're taking the life of the forest away, just leaving the misery of the forest behind.
Not surprisingly, that which is going to be left behind may be less impressed with the old right now.
It's like the parent abandoning the child in the middle of the mall saying, "You'll be right."
And so we're off to visit the place where, even while the elves were there, was still a problematic area.
Yeah.
So what you've learnt about the Dragon Tree area, it's named because the land in that space is riddled with horrific aberrations that resemble dragons.
But they're not actual dragons.
No one's gotten close enough to have a conversation with one to find out.
Okay.
But the dragons that come out of there have tendencies very similar to what a Teresk has.
Of course it does.
Basically eat, rampage, destroy everything in sight.
And then go back to sleep.
If they sleep.
So is Dragon Tree effectively the elven name, or is that a name given by the Darkinese as they've been going past?
It is the human translation of the elven name.
Yeah. So the elves have definitely recognised or considered that the creatures had dragonish traits or appearance.
And basically at night it's the darkest. And basically people go missing at night in that region.
And I'm assuming that research in Darkin didn't lead to any further information about this great castle or anything like that?
Well, there are ruins in Dragon Tree, so Grey Castle may be the name of one of the ruins.
Yeah. Well, it certainly is. As much as any of that sort of those Dimitri will aim to have produced or copied maps of effectively that hex as far as possible.
So
because we're back to the hex where they stop looking.
What Dimitri finds out is the road from Dolos used to go through where Dragon Tree is when it was part of Darkin.
Okay.
but when it became such a dark magic point, the road was moved quite a few miles to the south because it wasn't safe coming anywhere near it.
And Garrick was generously able to cede that land to the elves that they were protected within the Darrican lands.
Yep, that's pretty much it. They patrol that road, but that's all they do. They don't follow anything back into the forest. It's the elves' problem.
Okay.
And with most of the elves now missing from the forest, there's nothing keeping any of the creatures in check.
Yeah. But it does mean that there is likely to have been old records in Darrican stores of at least maps of that hex and the surrounds when the road went through. And presumably, some of the buildings or castles or small towns that might have grown up around the road at that point. So it means we'll certainly aim to get as much of that sort of information as possible. And especially if having noted that all along the Greenleaf was not going to come with us, not surprisingly.
And neither was Tree Life.
Sorry, Greenleaf. I've got Greenleaf in my head now.
I know. That's why it's pointing out that the other one, the one who's been talking to you won't go either.
Yes. Okay, well, that's going to be, and I'm assuming that there was no, on those old maps or information from Darrican when the road went through, there wasn't actually any buildings or towns that might have been marked that were labelled in some way, Grey Castle or...
There was a town of Flasuros was located right where Dragon Tree is now.
Sounds like might have many names. Was Flasuros known to have a castle or fortress?
It was basically a village with a fortified town there. Well, it had a fortified keep for the village to retire to if there was ever a need. But considering the only thing it had to worry about was the orcs to the south, elves didn't exist when the town was there.
Okay. And later on they discovered that there might have been some issues with the fact that the bad magic made it a less than desirable real estate.
It was also something that used to protect the region of Darrican here from the moors where the elves built their forest.
Mm-hmm. Do the records then talk about exactly how the bad magic arose, or is the bad magic situation a more of an elvish interpretation of the fact that, hey, there's remnants and leftovers of the human settlement there?
There's reports of the about 500 settlers in that village. Two made it out one night, screaming about how horrors had come in the night and basically massacred the town. And those two people were then caught by something that following night, and bloody remains were found, dragged back with drag marks leading back to the region. So whatever destroyed the town killed everyone in it.
But yeah, so it's the sort of thing that it's not like the bad magic effect grew up slowly, or at least it might have gone up slowly, but it certainly became impactful on a single night as well.
It happened around the same night that the elven forest went from a moor to a forest.
But
The elves made the trees grow overnight.
and so therefore, obviously, the humans at the time would have been blaming the elves for whatever it was that caused the monstrosities to come out of the night who killed the village.
Yep.
So,
And Dragon Tree is one of the oldest magic points.
okay, well, certainly the intent and possibly part of what we'll do is when we stop for the night in particularly Dolos, certainly the aim will be to see if there's any more local recent knowledge about the area that might also go through, and also try and pick up any word or information about the more recent kidnappings and things like that that are alluded to have actually been taken to Dragon Tree. So.
Okay, so while you're doing some investigations, the big topic of discussion in the area is how more dwarves are passing through town than have been seen in town in most of their people's lifetimes.
And are they heading to?
They're heading east, heading towards Rockham.
Yeah, right.
And some of the talk going through is the dwarves are going to their own war.
Mm-hmm.
They basically recalled all their soldiers to fight.
Which is one of them anyway, so.
Yeah, it concerns me that you know that they very much seem to have a I don't know, an idea of like a pretty solid idea about exactly what they're gonna do, like as in they seem to have a more specific idea about how they're going to be able to protect themselves.
Does the God that you follow so religiously not give you direction as to which way to go in life?
No, I guess what I mean is like that. It intrigues me that they feel like they're going to achieve something by just kind of holding tight.
They are known as some of the greatest survivors in history, and they always have.
Like cockroaches.
They basically never do anything by chance and always plan out their moves.
Yeah, right.
And it may well be the fact that, as the rumours are going around here in Dolos, the idea that the dwarves are going to their own war. Possibly they're going to be protecting us here on the surface by preventing some incursion from the Underlands.
Yeah, well, I mean, I guess that's what I mean. Like, that, it's like, what do they, is there something that they, is there a threat that they're aware of that they're kind of like not communicating? I guess.
Well, they also don't.
To say before.
They also don't like to panic the easily swayed, as they call other races.
Yeah, fair enough.
Particularly also with the fact that, yes, they may well be aiming to protect us from a threat from the Underlands. Of course, that threat's not going to materialise for another 750 years, but...
You're right. Yeah.
There's no reason why you can't plan for it. Yeah.
Or they may already be too late and are basically trying to save themselves.
Yeah, yeah.
But yeah, so... But certainly, there's no implication from the local townsfolk. They're not blaming the dwarves for the kidnappings or thinking they're stealing away family members or anything like that. Take them underground.
Well, most of the people are talking about how much gold literally the dwarves are throwing on anything they can get their hands on. They're literally buying everything, trading away what they would consider priceless works of art for next to nothing, just so that they can take other raw material home with them, or luxuries that they don't have at home.
Yeah.
A once in a lifetime sale, as they put it.
To make you think, what
Well, you do have a gemstone that they would
It's
put.
like, I wonder if I've got any more in with. Who should I talk to about getting the best price on it? Because obviously it's got stuff they want.
But does he have anything he's willing to give up?
Well, that's a different question too, yes. But yeah, so basically there's no specific more recent or current stories about these apparent kidnappings of prominent family members.
One of the things they do talk about is some of their scouts saw what appeared to be flying creatures dragging people through the treetops towards Dragon Tree. And some of them swore they were statues.
Gargoyles.
Not flying monkeys.
Not flying monkeys. They've had their own share of flying monkeys. They don't want to deal with flying monkeys ever again. Thank you, they say.
So that certainly it also has the implication then that the reason that the forces are kidnapping family members is they're staying at Dragon Key is not because they're used as necessarily a group of humans that are hiding out there. It certainly sounds like the natives of Dragon Key are the ones who are doing the kidnapping.
Quite possibly, because there are rumors that Dragon Tree has always been a connection to the forces of entropy. As their head priest will tell you in Dolos. Only the forces of darkness go to Dragon Tree. No one else would bother to go there.
Yeah. And yeah, so following on from Martin's comment and after your description about the things, it's quite reasonable. Like these gargoyles a likely cause, and the sense of whether the player characters are aware of
Player characters would be well aware of what gargoyles are, especially player characters would be well aware of what gargoyles are, especially Dimitri and Trellin, having dealt with them in the past. Bradshaw less so, but Bradshaw, being a dwarf, understands that living stone is something he's heard about in bedside tales.
Mm-hmm. But also are they gargoyles, I guess, well known enough in folklore and or real experience that it would make sense that the elves were referring to dragon-like creatures that they might have, like gargoyles confused with dragons. Obviously,
Unlikely.
Some superficial similarities, but realistically, they're not that similar looking.
The description of the elves were the dragon-like creatures were the size of a barn, whereas these could barely be the same size, if not slightly larger than the people they were carrying.
Yeah, so whilst there's certainly recognition that they appear to be, or Dragon's Tree is populated by gargoyles now, it hasn't necessarily always been that way, or at least not only gargoyles.
And from popular history for wizards in particular, gargoyles rarely kidnap people unless ordered to do so. They have no need for sustenance from flesh.
Yeah, what are you saying? Gargoyles and the other intelligent races don't necessarily compete for resources too much.
Gargoyles are considered a elemental creature of earth.
Yeah.
So they don't actually consume flesh, but they consume minerals. Not enough in a person to warrant their time.
Yeah.
Though someone has also points out that they're sure they saw a black flying snake with wings also in the vicinity. Does anyone have religion, and would they like to make a roll?
Yeah, I'll give that a try.
The idea of flying snake, Dimitri was immediately going to the idea. No. Those ones went down the hole, they definitely would be described as black. Or except for the ones that actually, the first ones we met were more like black bat type things, but they got eaten by the nice rainbow flying serpents.
That is correct.
I've got a 25 on religion.
So, you recognize the symbolic meaning behind the creature. A very rare creature in this region of the world. It is known as the Flying Viper, and it is also the symbol of At-Santiotl, one of the great corruptor gods. And also, one of the members of the Brotherhood of Shadow that you've recently discovered is one of the factions behind destabilizing the region and extending the war.
I see.
Down in the hollow world, wasn't it?
What was that, Jeremy?
It was the Brotherhood of Shadow that actually
No, it was the Thanatos who was involved in the Hollow World. The Brotherhood of Shadow is apparently behind the Master.
So I was thinking of the Brotherhood. I was thinking of the two entities that took over the Orcish princes that led us down to the Hollow World after they stole the Karameikos or Karameikos spear.
Those were the Blood Brothers who were not actually...
Blood Brothers, okay, acquired them, yeah.
They were basically servants of Thanatos.
Yeah. And just following on from that information that Penitive was coming up with, I actually got a natural 20 on religion roll, so a 30 type stuff. I'm guessing that in fact Dimitri's thought process of the creatures that the rainbow serpents were eating and fighting are actually quite possibly what we're talking about, is that right?
It is exactly the same sort of creature that the rainbow servants were eating.
Yeah.
And that would mean that they only ever congregate in areas where At-Santiotl is operating.
Marvelous. But
and your research does say that Alphax seems to be pushing the Master, while At-Santiotl is corrupting all the relations between the races in the region, and Hal is bringing back the horrors and horrible souls that have belonged to all the races to the forefront.
Mm-hmm.
So a concerted effort between all of them to return horrors to the world.
Yes, concerted effort by three separate factions of entity that wouldn't normally be working together very well. And they're still not necessarily working together, but they are potentially working collaboratively and in concert.
Well, Hal, the Norse goddess, is current leader of Entropy, only second by Thanatos, the Grim Reaper. The other two are quite powerful in their own right, one of them being the person who destroyed the homeland of the Alphatians before they came to this world. He ripped apart their plane of existence when he became a god.
Yeah. That was Alphax, wasn't it?
That was Alphax, yes.
Yeah.
So you're talking about major
and
powers.
the others good friend of the tribesmen on the plateau.
and now you sort of know a bit more why the god of Trogan has kept his people at bay, because he's not ready to take on at Santiotl. He's the person who teaches his people to strike once but strike true. Yeah, no need to get into a prolonged war if you don't need to.
Yeah. I don't know. It must be Penedier's weapon. So I was suddenly thinking, oh, this could be interesting because I'm pretty certain that one of the artifacts items, one of the characters has got, he gets specifically awakened when he starts dealing with enough opposition or representations of Axantiople. So,
That is your tribesman.
that's right, so it must be his sword.
It is.
How did you end up with two awakened items?
Well, the interesting is that my other character doesn't actually have an artifact. Or it's not an artifact that he recognises happen, but it is an artifact that is particularly, it's a holy weapon of a Kurgan.
Right.
And he was using it against Etrurgan's enemy. Etrurgan has only one enemy, and that is at Santiotl.
And so therefore, yes, if the Kurgan tribesman wielding a Kurgan sword goes around killing a Santiotl, Etrurgan's happy and will provide reward. But it was sort of in my head, I was thinking, is that Jens Diamond who's going to potentially awaken, or was it the other one? So I was doing my book for myself in that sense. Because obviously, yes, it would be quite amusing if it was Jens Diamond, that hey, he's got a good chance to poke a hole in Axantiotle in this current text by the sound of it.
Well, your artifact of thought is directly opposed to Axantiotl's desire for corruption. So each of the entropic gods generally is built around opposing one of the elements.
Yeah. Yes, but it's not like I say, it's looking back to the information of the item. It's not the one that actually specifically is looking to take it out. But hey, I'm sure that Yem and his cohort will be perfectly happy if Axantiotle is, again, his power within the world is diminished.
And Dimitri might actually get a pat on the back from the tribesman.
Awesome. Yeah.
Once.
Dimitri? Oh, jeez.
Okay. But, I mean, it's not like that the tribesman, it's not like Gratnina is actually going to hear about Dimitri's efforts.
Very true. Okay, so you find yourself on the edges of the forest where Dragon Tree is located. How do you want to approach it? Are you going in force, or you're leaving most of your people behind and going in to investigate by yourselves?
I'm thinking strongly about going up and knocking on the door. But I might not necessarily be the wisest idea. It's just something I'd like to try.
Yeah. Dimitri would certainly suggest that a bit of recon is always valuable.
Are we level 12? No.
You're at level 11.
Right. I was hoping I could get a feat, but that's alright. Which would make it a blanket stealth advantage, but it's okay.
I'm sure you're still stealthier than the fighter. Or the paladin.
I
Or
am.
Dimitri.
Nah, I wouldn't start the Dimitri.
Is there any particular reason? Because I've got 20 dex.
Dimitri believes he's better than everyone.
Dimitri can do anything.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I've got proficiency with it.
Definitely. Dimitri is actually pretty stealthy as well.
Yes. But yes, carrying the
Remember,
plate
Dimitri's also,
paladin is a tough ask.
Yes.
Well, except when you do like a group roll, and
But even the group roll system is, it just basically is 1d20 roll with the person's stealth involved, like the leader. In fact, I learned that it's the leader's stealth in way it works, but but it still means, yeah, if you happen to roll badly, then everybody's bad. So,
okay.
I did find whether there was a thing or whatever it was to talk about that sort of doing a group stealth roll, or group other things, but that doesn't necessarily, not necessarily huge advantage in some situations.
It's mainly Pathfinder that does the group checks.
Oh, it's got Pathfinder, okay, but again, like I said, because I saw it and thought, that doesn't look very useful, and basically ignored it.
Okay. So as you...
So Dimitri was certainly of the opinion that a small element is much more likely to be able to investigate more carefully.
And to make things easier for you, Parity is gleaming in his armor.
Yeah.
It's been polished to mirror finish.
If Mason was staying back and letting you guys do your stealth thing is a consensus, I'm more than happy to let you try that.
Well, I mean, the other thing from Lee's perspective is, he's not necessarily certain that stealth in itself is the vital part of it, but if an apparent small army is coming to find this great castle, then depending upon who's there and what situation they're in, they might decide that killing all the prisoners, if they're thinking that they might be in danger from them and just running away,
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
is certainly a potential option, whereas a group of less than half a dozen people is not likely to necessarily be perceived as a great threat, and hey, we may even get a free ride into the castle.
Sounds good.
I'm happy with the 6 of us going and not the 50 of us going.
Yeah.
Because that's just cannon fodder.
Okay, as you continue in, I will give Parity a perception roll.
Right. Here we go. Alright, 7.
Okay, so I will move over and I shall now give Trellin a perception roll.
17.
Okay, you do notice that Parative's sword seems to be giving off some sort of vibration that you can hear.
So, is this a new aspect of... So it's going off because of the dragons, or what?
You don't know. You've never actually seen it vibrate or make sound before.
Okay, well, I'll draw it out.
I'll draw his attention to it. And,
Is that you, Remy?
So how do you do that? Do you throw a rock, do the finger point, rude hand gestures, finger upwards?
Yeah, I draw it out. Is it glowing?
As you grab the hilt, you see the crystals start to light up with brilliant coloured lights.
Jeez, can you just tone it down?
And at those words, it's sort of the light itself seems to triple in brightness.
Jesus Christ!
And you hear a clear note ring out in the forest, alerting all to the dangers of approaching such a wonderful wielder of such magic.
Well, I should have known this would happen. The warning signs were there.
You talk quietly, Charles. I think he knows something.
And you actually get a glimpse of things in the region of the light. With each of you a perception roll to see if you notice what it is before it goes away.
Yeah, well,
22.
11.
Okay, so Parity, you have no idea why it just did that. It's just frustrating you completely. And it seems quite happy to have done so. Dimitri, I'm sure he saw some things in the region around you, but couldn't get a good look before they disappeared. Trellin, it looks as if shadows were moving amongst the forest in their hundreds, converging on you from all sides, and just disappeared with the light of the sword.
Oh, nice. Well done.
I took many years of practice to get that
You
good.
pick it up.
Yeah, it's just game matches. Okay, well.
Mike Capello knows that lying is not considered bad.
No, he generally just does believe that things are happening because because his God has instilled that ability in him.
And his lying is he cannot lie to the priesthood of his faith.
Well, and to be fair, the statement that, it's always done that, is quite probably true. It's like, it's going to get for a little while, so.
Okay, well, this is all worked quite well. I at this point, I wonder whether we don't just roll with the fact that we seemingly completely lost the elements of the rise.
You believe you're at least probably 4 to 6 mile from the ruins of the town. So you're not really that close to it, but you're far enough away from civilization that being massacred by shadows here would not have been noticed for a long time.
Gotcha. Okay. Alright, well, I mean, I wonder whether now it's a situation where I should just be keeping it, out to continue benefiting from the sort of safety aspect of the sword, or whether
well, it's certainly something that I'm assuming that in that sense, like when you talk about the fact that the apparently all throughout the forest and the trees around us, these shadows have been collecting. Had it actually been? Were we still technically travelling in the day, or was it coming at night, or was it just the
closer you get
the
to
forest itself was so close that it felt like night?
The forest it has a lot of shade and shadows underneath it, but the closer you get to Dragon Tree, no matter what time of day it is, the darker it gets.
Okay, yeah.
So Dragon Tree is at its brightest dusk.
Yeah.
And when you get to nighttime, your torches will make you think you're in a fog.
Well, certainly sort of thing, I'm sure the Yam's diamond had recovered from the energy that had been gone through it before.
It had on the first day, on the 15th of this month is when it recovered.
Certainly, yeah, if it was dark and we weren't trying to be stealthy because hey, we had a paladin and a dwarf in the party. Dimitri would certainly have had Jens diamond out to as a light source, even if it was only the focus for a light spell. Like in effect, not necessarily using the diamond itself's power. But yeah, he would have been using that as a focus for light as it was coming along, but also recognising, yep, okay, it wasn't necessarily providing as much radius of illumination as it would normally do so. So yeah, so certainly happy to have the sword out and ready to go, because hey, apparently the local beasties don't particularly like the sword either.
Okay, so Parative gets to make a insight roll.
17.
Okay, so from what you've learnt about your sword in the time you've had it, it warns you against hostile spirits approaching you. And if they get too close and you pull the sword out, it will repulse them.
Right, okay. Good to know. That's a good trick. So hostile spirits, did you say?
Hostile spirits, yes. It will have no effect against benevolent or friendly spirits.
Or physical beings.
So I just need to make sure that all spirits I encounter are hostile to me. I can do that. Okay, excellent.
What beings asked to do them?
Yeah, generally just say main things, like pointing out that they're that they've lost their
You can see through them.
Yeah. That's pointing out that they've lost their physical forms. Just like stick my tongue out them.
And
your mother had no body and your father would have no berries.
and you gain. So Parative has also gained an understanding that these were the former settlers of the township of Flasoros.
Yeah, right.
You expect there will be more restless dead before you get there.
But on the plus side, it does make Dimitri feel more comfortable about the idea that they're able to creep up without being noticed or seen. When it was first described, I was thinking, hang on, you meant we got surrounded by a bunch of gargoyles, stony creatures that we didn't hear at all? What the?
So after about a hour traversing through the forests, you find yourself on the edge of a old pathway, overgrown and full of weeds, leading to what appears to be a abandoned chapel and a graveyard.
Let's go and find some more spirits.
Can we see any evidence? Like, I guess, how far can we see at the moment?
Well, you can see probably about 200-300 feet at a time.
Right. And so I'm assuming then that we're, at the moment, we've only got the one ruined building that we can see in this area, and obviously the remains of the gravesite, the cemetery.
There is, and on the outside of the chapel, you see the symbol of Ixion, the god of light.
Yeah. But yeah, we can't see any other ruins or anything like that in the field of vision at the present time, so presumably the chapel has been built outside the village somewhat, because the people didn't want the cemetery nearby, I guess.
Most people do build the chapel on the edge.
Yeah.
Or the expected edge, depending on how big they think the township will be.
And on this one here, they might have overestimated it because they suddenly got thrown out before they to expand out to the size they thought they were going to get to.
Or it might be one of the few remaining structures, and you might have already passed through the edges of the town.
Well done. Well, okay, certainly with no other buildings necessarily or ruins visible at the moment, it's presumably worth checking to make certain that this isn't what's being called Grey Castle.
Well, walking up to the place, you all feel a sense of peace.
It means that Ixion's presence is still present, and might be a good place to rest and recover if we need to.
And you see Peritive's sword start to get a red shine to it as you get closer to the shrine itself.
Alright, yeah, I agree that
Is it a friendly red glow or an angry red glow?
I guess we'll find out as soon as you get into that chapel. Yeah, I agree.
Is the sword vibrating in your hand or is it just glowing?
It's just glowing, no vibration.
Because seemingly last time the vibration was when there was things were bad around it.
Yeah. Anyways, I say I think that this is potentially a good spot to rest because it feels safe out
I
here.
feel less oppressive in this location.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, I would certainly have to agree that it's worth investigating because there's nothing else. The idea that a friendly presence or a holy presence is maintained in this area all this time, we should definitely investigate and not destroy it.
Did you say that the sword spoke before when it lit up really brightly?
No, it just it seemed to respond to the voice of Trellin and glow even brighter.
Alright, yeah, I attempt to enter the chapel.
Okay, as you reach out and touch the door has a faint reddish shimmer, and then the door's open with a simple touch of your fingers.
I see.
Demetri was actually planning on having a bit of a look through some of the closest stones, presumably grave marks and things like that in the cemetery, aiming to see if there's any information still left on them.
The dates that you could read on them with the names appear to be over 600 years old.
Which is consistent with the timing of it before Thesaurus was present, correct?
That is about the time that the elves turned up here.
Yeah. And is there sort of a date range when they suddenly consider the information as to when Thesaurus got settled up until that 600 year mark type stuff? Is that what we're looking at?
Actually, they're about 900 years. Sorry, they're about 900 years since they.
But yeah, so certainly.
Sorry, it was 700 before crowning that they actually got there. So we are looking at about 1600 years. So the gravestones will be about 1800 years old.
Okay, so probably not much actually visible on them at all, realistically.
No, they're unlike graves that you're seeing outside. Wear and tear has not touched these. Except for about maybe 30 of them, which seem to have blackened and crumbled.
Okay. What about weeds and plants and stuff? Is the cemetery actually overgrown, or is it seemingly maintained, or at least if the gravestones are maintained or been either not suffered the effects of time, or whether they've been maintained by something. They may also have maintained the vegetation in the area, or whether the vegetation is quite happily grown freely.
Well, it looks like the vegetation has grown freely, but not over the graves.
Okay.
The ones that have collapsed look as if they've collapsed recently because the indentations look fresh, as if it happened only about an hour beforehand.
Indentations, you mean?
Where the stone of the Great
When the
Market
stones
collapsed.
crumble,
Yeah.
there's basically a hole that's been left there, but it's still a fresh hole, you mean?
It does look fresh.
Yeah.
And that sort of timing to where you destroyed a bunch of shadows.
Yeah. And the graves that those markers were indicating,
Yep.
do they appear disturbed or anything?
They do not appear disturbed at all.
Right. And what sort of numbers you said there? What sort of numbers were we looking at that have been destroyed?
Probably
Like the gravestones?
about 30 gravestones out of about 80.
And the number of shadows that we felt were around us at the time when the sword went off was in the order of hundreds, wasn't it?
Trallon would have guessed about 30 overall with his better vision.
Right.
Though you not seeing clearly, estimated at hundreds because, well, there were shadows everywhere at that stage, some of them moving, some of them not. Hard to tell what was real.
Understandable. So, but yes, okay, so, and, oh no, that's the so certainly, I'm guessing that's going to take Dimitri a bit longer to be investigating the graveyard than it's taken Imperative to open the door, so I'm happy that there's stuff that's happening in the chapel before Dimitri's come back in and talks about the fact that, hey, Colin, how many shadows would you actually see around us? Because
About 30.
it looks like the death of those shadows might have actually been a final death of the inhabitants here, because their graves could be destroyed. But
Nice.
that conversation will probably come in a little bit after Imperative and Watson with Trellin, depending on which way he went, have investigated at least the interior of the chapel, even if only from the outside.
I'm happy to check it out.
Okay, so what's Bradshaw doing?
Bradshaw was just sitting there, just going, oh, I'll let the smart guy do this stuff. And Bradshaw looked at going, I'm like, no, there's nothing here that would interest Bradshaw at all. Right
Even
now,
the stone chapel has no interest to him?
I'll go to the chapel and just see what it looks like. That's probably about it, I think, yeah.
You can tell it was...
If Bradshaw's not concerned about dwarves and gods, what's he going to be concerned about the other gods for?
And Bradshaw's concerned about gods, just doesn't. Because there's some gods, after our little vision session with the gods kind of thing, they just believe it all up to the right thing sometimes, so
you're free to ignore them when you feel like it.
No, I feel that way. They have their reasons in society, but Bradshaw has changed his mind after our little when we had that little thing up in where was it? When we saw
In the Hollow
World.
Change all the gods.
No, it was not. It was the one where we viewed the gods arguing about something. So.
Yes.
Yeah. That kind of Bradshaw's going, really? You guys are worse than me. It's like I'm thinking to myself at the time. So. He feels that, like, yes, there's a reason for gods, but sometimes he feels that gods bring their own reasons. But look, he's not atheist completely yet. He's getting close to it. He's getting that way. But it's but Bradshaw's going, no. I believe there's a reason for it. I just hasn't worked it out in his head yet. So
as you reach the chapel, you realise that the chapel was made by dwarves. Only dwarves could build stone like that.
Did you want me to stone cutting check or anything? Or?
You can if you want to.
The -1 might roll. I'll give it a go. What harm could my first dice roll for the day do? That's a 5. Ooh. Very well made dwarf stuff here. Yeah. Okay. And the names of the graves are all in Elven, is that right as well?
None of the graves are written in Elven. They're all done in a ancient Traldar dialect.
Okay.
Okay, so Imperative, looking inside, you see that the inside of this chapel appears to be almost pristine, as if it hasn't aged a day. It appears to be a full chapel with 3 small rooms coming off it, one at the far end from the main doors, and one either side of the main doors. Besides the pews and the altar, where would Parity like to go?
But first of all, is there anything else that I notice, sort of seems to have the same glow as the sword and the door?
Well, the glow to the door dissipated after you touched it.
Yep, right. So you said there were 3 entrances, and one was like sort of straight ahead, like behind the altar?
Well, there are 3 rooms off the main room.
Oh, three rooms, sorry. Was there one straight ahead?
There's one straight ahead, but there are 2 beside you that are near the door you came through.
Okay.
So the one straight ahead, you've got to pass between all the pews and go behind the altar.
I'll head for that one.
Mm-hmm.
Also, by the way, I'm just letting you know that my headphones are heading for low battery, so if I start talking, I may have to start talking. So that's the direction I'll go.
Okay, as you walk that way, you can see that the holy icons around here are dedicated to the god of sun, Ixion.
Interesting. Okay, well, so that tells me that this sword almost certainly got something to do with him, I guess. Sorry, what else did you say was in that room?
There were the altar, the pews where people sit, and 2 other doors near the main entrance that you came past.
Yep, and so I haven't gone through the door behind the altar yet.
Not yet.
Yeah, you haven't really entered the main chapel itself.
That is the main chapel. That is the main chapel. Because the main chapel is a single building with 3 small rooms off the main building.
Yep. Okay.
You haven't walked down the aisle.
Yeah. Okay. I head down the aisle towards the altar with an idea to go around it and head through the back room.
So as you reach the altar, you see it seems to be marked with quite a few different gods on there.
Okay. Like opposing gods, or gods of a particular pantheon, or.
Well, looking at it, you recognize the symbols of the All-Father Odin.
Oh, right. Okay.
Symbol of Mother Nature Terra.
Okay.
Symbol of Ixion, the sun god.
Yeah.
And symbol of Kronos, the god of time.
Okay, well, I mutter a quick prayer to Odin whilst I'm there.
And sitting with them is the symbol of the Grim Reaper, Thanatos, which doesn't seem to fit from your knowledge of the hierarchy.
Yeah.
Well, you're looking at the leaders of all the 5 factions, and Thanatos is not one of those leaders as far as you know.
Yeah. Okay. Interesting. Alright, I'll take note of that. Like, I'll write it down in case I forget it. And then, I try to head into the rear room.
Okay, so as you approach it, the sword starts to light up with a green light.
Okay, does anything else seem to sort of react to that?
And the door does react to that, and it unlocks to your touch.
Okay. Alright, I head in, hoping that, the sword's providing, enough light for me to see well.
It is. You see in here a set of stairs leading down into the earth,
Gotcha.
as
All
well
right,
as a bookcase and table that both appear to be empty.
Okay. Alright, okay, I head back out and see if I can find any of the others and just let them know that there seems to be something that warrants further investigation, and I'll mention the staircase.
Oh, I'm ready to go. Rachel's up. They walk right past you. Straight away.
Yeah. Okay, maybe. Well, yeah, but I mean, before I head down anyway, I do further investigate the table and the bookshelf.
It looks basically more like a pantry where you would put food stuff,
Yeah, okay.
but resembles a bookshelf at first glance because, well, they're fairly similar unless you've actually got it stocked with something.
Absolutely.
When they're empty, they both look the same.
You're not wrong about that.
Because there are traces of food that have obviously long been taken are still on the shelves.
Okay. Alright, I'll say there's two other rooms I haven't looked in yet. I'm not sure whether we should sort of finish looking around on ground level before we head down, but I think eventually it's going to be worth investigating down here.
Look, I just look at you go. See, Dimitri wouldn't even think like that. That is great thinking. Just do that. And I'll give Dimitri a little quick smile, I think. So.
Oh, Dimitri's still going to be out looking in the gravestone and say, hey, it's been reading.
Oh, he's still outside, I'll just say it anyway. Anyway, it's just sort of...
Yeah, okay. I don't know what we're saying, so he's not there to actually hear it.
So what we'll do, we'll search the ground floor, and then once we've done that, I'll say, once then we'll grab the restroom and get them to come down to the low levels, I think. So.
Sure, okay.
I'll
So
see
we have a look at the different rooms separately or at the same time?
Look, I feel this is more linked to you than me. I feel that I'm just a humble dwarven warrior, while you're a holy priest warrior of. Yeah, I don't know your god, but okay.
Yeah, that's okay.
Yeah.
Holy priest warrior is someone important.
Yeah. I just feel that you're a bit more. There's more tuned.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Okay.
I do mention that it is dwarven made. I said it's very nicely dwarven made, but I think this is more a suited to your area of expertise, man. So.
Oh, good.
Is Kralin in with the chap with them, or is he wandering around the gravestone with Dimitri?
I was happy to go into the wherever. Yeah, he was suggesting. Yeah.
Yep.
All right. Well, I'll investigate the door, the alcove door on the on the right of the chapel. From when we first came in.
Okay, so as you approach that door, your sword glows a deep blue color.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
And when you open that door, you find yourself in what appears to be a washroom.
Yeah, right.
As in for ritual cleansing prior to going into services?
Yeah, I assume so. Okay, I have a quick glance around. Is there anything?
There is a large metal tub in the center of this room, big enough to be able to fit the four of you in at the same time.
Is there some sort of heat source?
No, Bradshaw, don't get any ideas, even though Dimitri's not there.
There doesn't appear to be a heat source, but with all clerical things, you don't always need it.
Okay, is there anything in there? Is there water in there?
There is no water. Doesn't even appear to be any dust in there.
But there's no dust anywhere else in the chapel either, is there?
There is not.
Okay. You want to see anything out of the ordinary at all? No?
You can see the bath seems to be not of dwarvish make, but does seem to be of a make not seen in a long time.
Interesting.
It's a very, very old design that seems to be honoring the gods of time.
We'll wait till everyone else here, but I think this, if we, I would like to know if we put water in it, what happens? Just my dwarf intrigueness kind of thing coming out here. I'm just a bit, not my speciality of these sort of things. I'm not really.
Bradshaw's going to take a bath.
No. I just want to see because this seems very special. Like it's not dwarven made, but it seems very has something. Whether it's it's not for bathing, or whether it's just for maybe making holy water, all sorts of things. It could be anything here. So, but as I said, not my expertise here, so I'm going to leave it up to you here.
Well, he showed it was a size big enough for 4 people to sit in.
Well, maybe I don't know. It's quite possible. Could be.
Dominic sending messages that I can't actually.
He said
on my chat yet.
He said so. Just died. Okay, so he tries the northern door. As he does so, his sword lights up with a very pale blue, almost white light. As the door opens up, you find yourself in what appears to be a small library. Making you think that each of the rooms has been dedicated to one of the spheres of the world.
I do yell out, Dimitri, we found something for you.
Dimitri can make a perception roll to see if he picks up anything being yelled out.
26.
I'll say yes, so he gets to make a reflex save now.
Well, I was going to say. Gets a will save with advantage to ignore Bradshaw.
I didn't know how relation got that bad, but anyway.
Reflex save. So we're talking dexterity save, I'm assuming?
It's a dexterity save, yes.
20.
Okay, so as you turn probably to hear what's being said, you find yourself knocking one of the gravestones, and it has a hinge that moves, revealing a hole underneath that you could have stepped into.
Yeah. So, okay, yep, obviously, he turned around, thinking what was the noise, and then realised it was Bradshaw and therefore not important. And he was certainly interested in having expertly found this secret door, secret passage, secret compartment.
Expert, you reckon?
So he's going to look down the hole and see how deep it is, how big, what sort of size we're looking at. Are we talking a staircase down, or are we just talking an open grave? So.
Well, it's the secret door is underneath where the gravestone was hinged.
Right, yeah, so the gravestone actually moved and open passage type stuff. So are we talking a compartment, or does there appear to be stairs leading down into a...
It appears to be more of a dead drop.
Okay, how deep?
Light's not giving you that impression of how deep it is. It seems to be, you seem to be able to see down about 10 feet before light stops.
So I can see 60 feet in dim light.
You can, but you're in the chapel.
But it stops, right.
Yeah. But also, you're in the chapel, weren't you?
He is.
Yeah.
Whereas this is actually out in the cemetery. But there doesn't seem to be any sort of ladder or anything like that, markings or even leftovers of where a ladder might have been, or things like that would lead down into darkness?
There's a possibility that it was never completed, or it was expected that whoever could go in and out had the skill to do so without the need of ladders or ropes.
Yeah, no, that's fine. Take a look at the gravestone. Is there any particular oddities on that one that separated it from others?
The date of the person on it is dated around the time the castle fell.
Okay. I will pick up a small pebble or a stick or something like that and just do the drop test. Listen for landing and therefore see if I can get an indication of depth involved.
Okay. So it drops and you hear a clatter rather quickly before you can start counting. Meaning you think it's a depth of about 10 to 20 feet.
Yeah, about obviously, yeah. So the light goes down 10 feet and obviously the pit does not go much more than 10 feet beyond that at all.
But there's probably about 5 to 10 feet worth of obscured area.
Yeah, in the darkness. So, but obviously the rock went straight through the darkness. It's not like it was a solid thing that stopped access.
That is correct, and there was no swirling, so it was no gas. And no plopping sound, so it was no water.
I will lean down, basically lie on the ground with overhanging the edge type stuff. Although even then it's probably not quarterstaff, probably not going to be big enough, is it? It's only going to be about 6-7 feet long. So I should be able to at least reach the tip of the darkness. Basically be able to put the quarterstaff down and pick it back out again and make certain that the tip of the quarterstaff is not affected at all.
You can put it into the darkness and pull it out, and the tip seems unaffected.
Yeah.
Doesn't seem impressed either, but it seems unaffected.
Well, that's all right. The quarterstaff can keep its ideas for itself, thanks very much.
But when it starts telling you you're in trouble?
Well, when Dimitri starts listening to quarterstaffs, he knows he's in trouble. Because what would they know? Diamonds, on the other hand, obviously perfectly reasonable to have intelligence and cold communication. So.
Okay, so while you're investigating that, I'll go back to the others who are investigating the chapel. Yep. And I'll get each of them to make a perception roll, which Parody can do via chat because his headset's died.
I got 12.
And how about Mark?
Dominic got 22 on there.
12 died.
So what was that, Mark?
Oh, just kidding there, how's it?
So in fact, Dominic saying that it was a 22
and a crit.
20 involved.
Woohoo! I wasn't that high, Mark. I got 12 plus 7. So just bear with me a second, just got to find out where it was on my character sheet now. I can't put in a good spot sometimes.
Perception should just be one of your listed skills.
Mm-hmm.
I know, but I don't know what to put it on the character sheet, so I haven't used it in a while. So.
Okay, so while you're searching for that,
yep.
We'll continue. So, Trelawney is having a good look around this place. It seems to have been well crafted to have survived for so long. You don't know if it's magic or the crafting that has kept it in one piece. Whereas Imperative, having a look around, out of impulse, puts his sword on top of the altar, and sees a compartment open in the back of it with 4 potions and a scroll.
Okay. He's another expert at finding secret compartments.
Yep. I rolled a 15 on total.
Again, you're finding this place to be a wonderful architecture of dwarven brilliance.
Oh yeah, I think this is wonderful. This is what happens when ghouls go outside.
And you're surprised at the at Peritive finding the hidden compartment.
Not really. I feel that my skills as a proper dwarf is sometimes lacking, so I do. But
That's because you're not a proper dwarf. You've already discovered that.
yeah, I know that. Yeah. But I go. Well done, buddy. Well done.
Dominic's mentioning the grab call stuff and see if you identify anything.
Okay, you can identify that the 4 potions seem to be potions of healing. You're not sure what strength.
That's good. Doesn't do anything to the dwarf.
And the last one appears to be a scroll of Word of Recall.
Cool.
Except for the dwarf, I'm assuming. Considering there's a good chance it won't work on the dwarf.
Probably.
Why not?
His race is very much against magical healing.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Any healing on me is half, is it?
Yes. Magical healing is halved.
Yeah.
It doesn't actually mean that it's not inappropriate for the dwarf to carry potions of healing so that then he can tip them down other people's throats when they're unconscious.
True.
It's one of the things, like, if you're a cleric in the party or things like that, they shouldn't carry the potions of healing because they're the ones trying to heal up when they fall unconscious.
That's it.
And when you look downstairs, you find that it seems to have a well of fresh water, as well as 2 rooms with 3 cots in one room and 1 cot in the other. So it appears to be a place of rest and recuperation. So, considering it is past 10 o'clock and we've lost some of our ability to communicate,
Yep.
now might be a good point for us to call it a night and pick up next session where you can find out what it is that Dimitri has found.
I was going to say, yeah, if you want to leave it on a cliffhanger, Dimitri has tied a rope around the base of one of the other nearby gravestones, and we'll basically tip it over the edge, and he's going to climb down in. And
I will give Dimitri a perception roll before he climbs down in.
Perception of 29.
Okay,
Sorry, 26.
just as he's about to climb down, he sees what appears to be ghouls shambling towards him from further down the road.
How many?
By the looks of things, probably about 50 of them.
Right. Okay. Well, he may not go down the hole then right now. He may be heading towards the chapel, but we can deal with that next week.
You might just want to have word with the others, you say, as you start to turn, and we'll stop the session there and see if he makes it next session.
Exactly.
Okay, so thank you very much for joining for tonight.
No worries.
And to give you some idea of what you're actually doing tonight.
Rise of the Drow. Marvellous. I don't know if Mark saw Dominic's comments, but yeah, he was suggesting that Dimitri could demonstrate to Bradshaw how to be a dwarf by going underground.
I saw it, I ignored it, I saw it, but I ignored it.
Introduce Spelunky to the dwarf.
That's okay, it's all good.
But yeah, thanks very much, all.
Thank you,
Have a
everyone.
good night.
So thanks all. I'll head off myself. Thank you for playing.
Thanks very much, one, and
And-
everyone else, and we will catch you next week or the week after.
We will. And remember, it's on every fortnight. So we'll see you soon.
All right.
Catch you later.
Yeah.
Bye.